Hello everybody and welcome back to the United Stand. A huge blow for Aston Villa, for Manchester United, as Marcus Rashford is out with a hamstring injury for the season, according to David Ornstein. So top tier journalist here bringing the news that Marcus Rashford is set to be out for the season. Some good news in return is that Matthijs and de Ligt are expected to be back for Athletic Bilbao. Not this Thursday though, the Thursday after, with game time pencilled in for the game on Sunday, the Premier League game. So that is massive news for Manchester United. And Bruno Fernandes backs Rasmus Højlund to score more goals and says the rest of the team needs to be taking more responsibility with putting the ball in the back of the net. Get your comments in down below. I'm immediately gonna run a poll. Do you think Marcus Rashford will still leave Manchester United in the summer? I'm seeing a lot of discourse online. I'm seeing some people say keep Rashford. I'm seeing some people say we have to sell him. I'm seeing some people worried that this injury could affect the sale potential of Marcus Rashford. And I think you're absolutely right to be worried about that, in my opinion. We'll talk about it. We'll bring the exact details, but get your comments in down below. So this is exactly what David Ornstein said. He said Marcus Rashford expected to miss rest of the season with a hamstring injury, no surgery in rehab at Aston Villa as tests ongoing. So no surgery, but rehab will be done at Aston Villa as tests are ongoing. The Tottenham game is not totally ruled out, but highly likely campaign over, and 27-year-old to focus on getting fit for England games in June. So the Tottenham game is the last game Villa play before the end of the season, which isn't United, because Rashford can't play against us because he's on loan. So it's not completely ruled out, but it's expected that Marcus Rashford will miss the rest of the season for Aston Villa with injury. How does that affect Aston Villa's chances of buying Marcus Rashford? How does that affect potential suitors coming forward, other clubs coming forward and putting a proposal together to buy Marcus Rashford for Manchester United? And also, I'm gutted for Rashford because it was a clean slate, it was a fresh start at Aston Villa, and he was doing pretty well and he was getting good plaudits off the back of it. You know, a lot of people were praising Marcus Rashford for his performances for Aston Villa. He'd got ahead of Ollie Watkins, who the majority of people and Premier League watchers would say he's a good Premier League striker. So for Marcus Rashford to get ahead of Ollie Watkins in games such as PSG at home, PSG away, Man City away, and playing pretty well, then it is a blow for him to be injured now. And I wanted him to do well. One, because I want Manchester United to get the best possible package for him, as it will be pure profit. But also, I'm not heartless. Marcus Rashford is a Manchester United player. He's come through the club. I want him to do well. I want him to be successful. Just because I believe that isn't going to be at Manchester United doesn't mean I don't want him to just fall off a cliff. I want him to have a good rest of his career. So I am unhappy that Rashford's got injured for Manchester United's sake, but for his sake as well. How this affects the sale of Marcus Rashford, I think it does. Because what's happening right now is Marcus Rashford's at Aston Villa. You know, he's getting his name in the headlines, he's getting his name in the media, because people take note. When you perform against PSG in the Champions League, that a lot of people tune in to go and watch. And you can see, you know, you're sprinting, you're pressing, you look dangerous. And in my opinion, Aston Villa looked more dangerous with Rashford on the pitch against both City and against PSG than when Rashford got subbed off. People are going to take note of that. And, you know, then other clubs start to take note and people start to look at it and your sale value goes up. When you're injured and you're not playing, the noise around Marcus Rashford and his good performances starts to drop. And I feel like it might mean that less clubs would be interested to come forward in the summer to put together a package to offer Manchester United, because they've not got as much of a sample size to go off. All they've got to go off is Marcus Rashford, you know, currently what he's done for Aston Villa. You know, still quite a few games left yet. There he could have, you know, got his name in the headlines and got some goals, got some assists for Aston Villa and played well, which could have attracted more clubs to come forward for him in the summer. But also Aston Villa themselves, I personally think Unai Emery was playing Marcus Rashford ahead of the likes of Ollie Watkins to say to the board, I really like this player, I want you to sign him. If he can't play him and prove to the board why they should pay for Marcus Rashford, it might be a difficult sell from Unai Emery to collaborate with their board on purchasing Marcus Rashford in the summer and making him a permanent signing, because his wage is massive and the transfer fee of 40 million is going to be interesting, to say the least, especially if Aston Villa do miss out on Champions League football, which could be the case. You know, they're in the race there for Champions League football. They're in the race with Nottingham Forest. Manchester City, I think, will get it. They're in the race with Chelsea. Newcastle, I think, will get it. That 5th spot is up for grabs. But if you're looking at the rest of Aston Villa's fixtures, I'd probably say they're not favourites to get Champions League, and that surge of money is also a massive difference on whether Marcus Rashford will be bought by Aston Villa in the summer, whether they'll have that money there to invest it into him. Rashford being fit could have helped him get Champions League football across the line as well. So his sale rests on a lot. Whether he come back to Manchester United, I've seen a lot of people talking about that. I will explain in a minute why I don't think that'll be the case. But it's how much are we actually going to make from Rashford? How much are we actually going to make from Rashford? Because it is pure profit that is going to go towards a summer transfer window that is absolutely crucial for Ruben Amorim. Do you still think Rashford will leave in the summer? Get your vote in the polls down below. 82% of you said yes, 18% say no. We've just had it in the chat there that a hamstring injury is likely to be 8 weeks, so he'll be back for pre-season and a sale. I still think he'll go. I don't want to be dramatic. I do think he will still go. Mainly because I don't think he can play for Manchester United again whilst Ruben Amorim is still manager. And Ruben Amorim is going to still be the Manchester United manager unless anything absolutely dramatic or drastic happens. Come next season, he's going to be the manager in pre-season and he's going to be the manager come next season. But I don't think Marcus Rashford, whilst Ruben Amorim's there, can play for Manchester United. So it's not will Marcus Rashford stay, which I keep hearing people talk about. It's how much will we end up getting for him. That is my concern, because I want to get the maximum amount of money for Marcus Rashford. How do you get the maximum amount of money? Through him playing and playing well. He can't play right now because he's out with a hamstring injury. So what he's done so far for Villa, that's the pitch when you're looking for other clubs to come in. And I heard Fabrizio Romano on a show the other day say there's more clubs interested in Marcus Rashford than just Aston Villa. And I would like to know who, because do you remember in January when he was going to go and Amorim wanted him to go and he wanted to go as well because he just wasn't getting game time, Amorim wasn't going to play him. That relationship, we've spoken about it a million times, why it broke down, so we won't have to go into the nitty-gritty details, but it completely broke down and there wasn't a way for Marcus Rashford and Ruben Amorim to continue together. And it went right down to the wire of the transfer window on where Marcus Rashford was going and if he was even going to go. It felt like he had to go, but where was he going? And it felt as near enough every day you had leaks coming out into the press of there's up to 10 clubs interested in Rashford, there's this club, this club, this club, this club interested in Rashford. And then it sort of dwindled down and it was Aston Villa that ended up swooping in, getting him on loan with an option to buy for 40 million at the end of the season. But you were hearing Monaco, you were hearing Como at one point, you were hearing Marseille, you were hearing, there was talks about PSG, which I think was nonsense, to be honest with you. There was Barcelona, that's always been lingering around, and there was other clubs that were coming to the forefront as well. You kept hearing all these clubs are interested in Rashford. Romano's saying there's more clubs interested than Aston Villa in Rashford in the summer. I would honestly, Dortmund was one as well. I would love to know what clubs are going to be putting together a package to buy Marcus Rashford that is suitable, it's an acceptable package for us to accept. What clubs are going to be doing that? Because Dortmund are not going to be able to afford what we want. Even if Manchester United take a hit on the wages, which I think is what will happen. I think Manchester United want 40 million for Rashford. That's what's in the contract with Aston Villa. But if another club comes forward to pay the money for Marcus Rashford, pay that 40 million of pure profit, which is pretty decent for him considering he's 27. He's shown at Aston Villa that he's still got that quality, he's still got that talent that can offer another team. It's just not perform. He just doesn't perform on a consistent basis. Now he's got a World Cup squad to get into and he's got to impress Thomas Tuchel and he's playing for, his next move. You're seeing the Marcus Rashford that we know is there. but he's proved at Manchester United he can't do it on a consistent basis for us. So 40 million of pure profit for a player that can't come back and play under Ruben Amorim is pretty decent. But we're going to have to take a hit on the wages because no club out there is going to be paying him 350 grand a week. And Rashford, as he has every right to do, to be honest with you, because we gave him that contract, he's going to want to keep his wage. So United will have to take a hit on the wages. There was rumours about Dortmund. They're not going to go. I've checked where they are in the Bundesliga and they're not even in Champions League spots. Whether that can change towards the end of the season, let me just have a quick look, but I don't think it will. Just looking at the league table, Dortmund are in 6th right now on 48 points. So they could, to be fair, they could get into Champions League spots. They could, because it's only 3 more points to get into a Champions League spot for them. So few games left to play for them. They could get into a Champions League spot, but if they don't, then there's no chance. At Barcelona, we keep hearing about how Barcelona want Marcus Rashford. They struggled to even register Olmo. If they win La Liga and they win the Champions League, hello, money does start to open up for them. And I know people talk about they've got Rafinha, they've got Yamal, they've got Lewandowski. You know, you need depth, and Rashford has proved he can play up front for Aston Villa. He's done it pretty well. So Barcelona could be on the horizon, but again, like, I just feel like that is Marcus Rashford's ultimate dream, understandably so. And I think in an ideal world, if Barca could get him for a decent fee, they would. But I don't know if Rashford's going to be their dream signing in the summer when you've just won the Champions League and La Liga. I'm not sure of it. I want him to go there. I think it'd be great for Manchester United and for him. But whether that actually happens, I'm not sure. Aston Villa, like I said, is going to be really dependent on whether they get Champions League football and whether Emery can kind of, sell that. Where does Watkins' future lie? So I don't think there's actually going to be a clear-cut move for Marcus Rashford in the summer. And it doesn't help when you're injured for the rest of the season, so you can't kind of show off why clubs should be buying you. I think he's done a pretty good job since he's been at Villa. I think that PSG tie massively helped in terms of, getting his value up. And obviously, he's had moments here and there for Villa where he's looked good. I think he's played well, and there's a reason why Unai Emery has been putting him in ahead some of the big hitters for their team. But now with this injury and, your name's not really in the headlines as much until the end of the season, I think it's going to be tougher to get the money that we want for Rashford, which is got to be upwards of 40 million to go into our transfer. Imagine this, you get 40 million for Marcus Rashford of pure profit. You could then go and sign another player as well as Acuna and a Delap, who it looks like we're going to sign anyway. Revolutionising that front three is massively important for Ruben Amorim. But let me know in the comments where you think he will end up going. S. Madison says, Barca won't even look at him. It's delusional. Barcelona won't want Rashford. Rajiv says, he wanted a new challenge and we do too. I don't want him back. He already showed us he doesn't want to work for Manchester United. I honestly can't believe that there's even a debate going on online about whether Manchester United should take Marcus Rashford back. I saw Wayne Rooney say that he'd like to see him come back to Manchester United. There's no chance. There's no chance. There's no chance. Ruben Amorim will not have him back, even if Marcus Rashford wanted to. So United are going to have to move him on. What fee we get for him, I'm not sure. And I know a lot of you think, is Barca going to come for him? I think at the moment, I'm worried that we're going to find it hard to sell him in terms of, I think it's one that could last all summer. But I do think Barcelona will have wanted him. Whether they'll still want him winning La Liga and potentially winning the Champions League, both of them two, by the way, are not so cut and dry. Real Madrid is still in that title race and, anything can happen in the Champions League. So the money might not be there for Barca. They have held a long-term interest in him. But I think that's being talked up a lot more than it maybe is the real kind of interest from Barca there. Like, I don't think Barca are pushing that as much as maybe, Marcus Rashford's side is pushing it because they want a big move for him. So I think it's going to be difficult without more of the season to kind of get himself in that shop window. I really do. But let's see how it plays out. Manchester United might be one of them. I would not be surprised. Last week of the transfer window, Rashford's still a United player. I think it also just makes it awkward as well going into pre-season. Amorim's spoken about how much he wants his signings in early and sales done early because he wants a pre-season with the players that are going to be part of this project in the future. You really don't want Marcus Rashford going on the US tour with the whole Manchester United squad because it's just a distraction. Every single press conference, Ruben Amorim's going to get asked about it. Every single interview, Ruben Amorim's going to get asked about it. The relationship isn't there. It would just be a little bit of a farce if that ended up happening. So that's the last thing you want. Hopefully he can be back fit before then and we can resolve a move for him. Maybe he stays behind and trains at Carrington separately to the Manchester United squad if we are still in that situation. But you want that sale done as quickly as possible. And it's hard to sell a player who is still nursing an injury. You know, you've got to pass his medical, do all of the checks. You want to get him back fit as soon as possible. If Villa did decide to trigger that option to buy as well, you'd want it done as early as possible. Mr. Miracle says Rashford has the ability, he just does not have the mentality or work ethic. It'll be interesting come the pre-season tour if he's still at Manchester United, what happens there, because I think him going on the tour would be the wrong move for both parties. I get the sense of maybe Manchester United would want him playing games to, you know, show other clubs like what he's going to produce, but if they've not seen it already, they've not seen it already. Our pre-season game should be focused on Ruben Amorim's new signings, Cunha, if it is a Delap, whoever it is, integrating them with a squad, getting the team back up for full fitness, the team that's going to start the season mid-August, and for Ruben Amorim to work on his system and with the players that he trusts in and believes in for the future of this squad. The last thing you need is Marcus Rashford being a huge distraction for that tour and when you're trying to start afresh going into the new season. So that needs to be resolved, and this is a little bit of a blow for Manchester United. It's a big blow for Manchester United. But do you know what is a huge positive for Manchester United? A huge positive is the return of Amad and De Ligt. So let me talk to you about that, the news coming in about Amad and De Ligt. By the way, quickly, get in the comments down below. If De Ligt's fully fit, do you start both him and Maguire in the back three? Who drops out of that back three for you? Because De Ligt, for me, has been signed of the season. He's been integral to that back three. But I don't want to drop Maguire because he's playing fantastically. Mazraoui, for me, is a brilliant right-sided centre-back. Yoro's doing really well. Shaw's back now. Who's your starting front three if De Ligt is fit? Let me know. Because I think he has to come back in, but I struggle to figure who you're going to drop out. It's going to be a tough call for Ruben Amorim, but he won't have to make it before the Thursday game. So this is what has come out surrounding Amad and De Ligt. It came out that Manchester United are hoping to welcome back Amad and De Ligt this week and use the Brentford game on Sunday as an opportunity to give them some game time. So Brentford on Sunday will be game time for Amad, De Ligt, and also it came out through the MEN that the reason why his strongest team played yesterday was to give them match sharpness after having a bit of a break. Thursday will be his strongest side. Sunday, the big hitters, the players that he relies upon heavily for these Europa League games and this semi-final tie that he'll want to play in the return fixture at Old Trafford against Bilbao, they will be rested against Brentford. Amad and De Ligt are penciled in for minutes. That is super positive. Imagine if Amad and De Ligt are ready to start at the return fixture for Old Trafford. I mean, even if you can get half an hour out of Amad and De Ligt, it would be an absolutely massive boost. Two of the best players in our squad. And finally, a player that can actually score some goals. If you look at Manchester United's XG for the last few games, we're producing a super high XG. Like, we should be scoring way more goals. But Garnacho's not been clinical enough. Bruno's not been clinical enough after that spell of good form. You know, Højlund's not been clinical enough. I know he scored a goal yesterday, but he's still nowhere near being clinical enough. We've not had enough in our front lines. So to actually have a player that can put the ball in the back of the net in Amad back is absolutely huge. I think having Amad here would have been would have wrote the story massively differently in quite a lot of Premier League games since he's been injured. I think the squad and the way that we play has improved in employing Ruben Amorim's system and creating better opportunities and being more defensively secure. I just don't think we've been able to score goals and fulfil our XG, and I think Amad could have changed that by his technical level and how he can find the back of the net. So having him back for Bilbao would be absolutely huge. And Bruno did actually speak on the goal scoring issue as well. He said, "We can't hide behind Rasmus not scoring as many goals as we wanted him to score. The team is not scoring as many goals as we should. We can't put everything on Rasmus not scoring goals. He has to score more. He's the number 9 of the team, but Joshua Zirkzee has to score more. I have to score more. Garnacho has to score more. Mason, Amad." So Bruno there being a great captain and saying we can't just blame Højlund. Everybody has to step up. And I do agree with him. But Amad being back is going to make a massive difference because he just levels up the quality levels in this team. Also, Rasmus, he absolutely has to do more. I'm glad he got a goal yesterday, but I know there's been a bit of controversy over his celebrations. He's a number 9 that's been through probably the hardest point of his career. I don't mind him celebrating a goal, just score more of them. He works his socks off when he's on the team, just score more of them. I don't have an issue with Højlund's attitude or mentality because I think he works incredibly hard. I just don't think he's actually good enough. I think he's a bit out of his depth. So people going in on him for celebrating, I think it's a bit harsh. I just need more from him. And having Amad back, it just gives a huge boost to our attacking outlet as well. Got a couple super chats in. JD Edit says, "Hi, can wish my son Jamie a big 11th birthday today." Jamie, happy birthday, 11 years old, absolutely fantastic. Still got many years left to hopefully see United win a Premier League, so you still got them left in you. Patrick Lynch says, 2 stumbling blocks in a Rashford transfer. 1, the club's expectations, what fee they want for him, and 2, Rashford's expectations for himself. He wants a big club right now, but who takes him? Exactly. The only one I can see is Barcelona because of that long-standing interest, but the financials behind it are going to be super difficult. I've said it multiple times. Rashford on 350 grand a week, you're expected to get a Salah-level player, a Saka-level player for that money. And he doesn't produce that. He doesn't. So expectations have to be adjusted, and what clubs can come to the forefront, we'll have to wait and see. But look, everyone, that is the news this afternoon. A nice little quick one to get you through. Rashford out for the season. How does this affect his sale? Are we going to struggle to sell him? Is this going to make an awkward pre-season for Ruben Amorim? Let me know your thoughts. Also, De Ligt and Amad back. Where do they come back in? Amad straight back into the team, but with De Ligt coming back in, is it unfair to drop Maguire? Does Shaw still start after coming in at left-sided centre-back? Who drops out? Mazraoui goes to right wing-back? Let me know your thoughts. Hit a like on the video if you're not already, and we will see you on the next one.